Welcome to episode 49 of our series on the medieval origins and meanings of the surnames of Appalachia and the American South. Each of the surnames that we'll cover today was requested by members of our YouTube community. To make our task more manageable, we're focusing on pre-Civil War family names. That's because in the years following the Civil War, America entered the Industrial Revolution and thousands of different families moved from the South and Appalachia to the Rust Belt, while foreign immigrants settled across the country. On today's show, we'll investigate the origins and meanings of 8 Appalachian and Southern surnames. To disentangle their origins, we'll look back to medieval Ireland, Wales, England, Scotland, Scandinavia, France, and Germany. I hope you'll join me. Let's get started. Number 1, Rambert. This surname takes us back to the early medieval days when Teutonic surnames were flowing into Great Britain. In France, the name of Saint Rambert was Latinized too. This Norman surname is only found in my books on English surnames, so I think we can be confident that Rambert is an English surname of Teutonic Norman French origin. Number 2, Webster. In America during the latter half of the 20th century, it was hard not to know about Webster's dictionary. It was authored by Noah Webster. He was a pioneer in American education. His dictionary was first published in 1828, and contrary to what some folks believe, Webster does not mean book or dictionary. It was originally given to a person who weaved cloth. Webster is linguistically a medieval English name, but it didn't stay in England. It was introduced into Ireland in the middle of the 17th century. Since it arrived in Ulster and Leinster a few decades after the plantation of Ulster, this surname was most likely carried into the Emerald Isle by soldiers and settlers associated with Oliver Cromwell. In Scotland, it first appears on the Scottish records in 1288. In Scotland, Webster also meant weaver of cloth. At the end of the day, it could be of Irish, Scottish, or English origin, so you'll need a paper trail to locate the birthplace of your specific line of Webster. Number 3, Ballard. You must appreciate the fact that I'm a consumer of all kinds of information about the Titanic and John F. Kennedy, among a dozen or more other topics. So when I read the request for Ballard, my mind immediately pulled up images of Robert Duane Ballard, a former naval officer and retired professor of oceanography. Not only was Ballard the first person to lay eyes on the Titanic since its foundering at 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, but he also located PT-109, JFK's patrol torpedo boat that was sunk on August 2, 1943. Say, I'm tempted to do a video on that experience. Let me know in the comments section if you'd like to see it. At any rate, Ballard was introduced into the Isles by members of William the Conqueror's forces. They came from Normandy, Flanders, and Brittany. It means bald-headed. It's found in Ireland, but it's sometimes used as an anglicized version of the Dutch surname Bollard. The medieval church introduced the surname into Scotland, but it's not widely found across the Bonnie Land. I think that we're safe in calling Ballard an Anglo-Norman surname, but your line could have originated in Ireland or Scotland. Number 4, Cruickshanks. This surname originated among the speakers of Old English and Old Norse. It was given to a person with bow-leggedness. What's fascinating about Cruickshanks is that it's not common in Ireland, but it's well represented in Scotland, especially Kincardine and the Aberdeen areas. There are many places in Scotland that have Cruick as part of their names. George Fraser Black says that there's a river called Crookwater in the northeast of the country. He argues that the Scottish Cruick is derived from that river, not a nickname for bow-leggedness. A shank in Scotland, despite its American use as a crudely made knife for stabbing folks in prisons, is a high point of a hill that adjoins a plain. This Anglo-Norse surname could have come to America from England or Scotland. I think you'll need a paper trail to zero in on the origin of your line of Cruickshank. Number 5, Hacker. Last week we covered the surname Thacker, so when I looked at the request for Hacker, I thought that it might have originated with a person who had something of a speech impediment. You know, like someone who couldn't pronounce the TH sound like the Hacker. Alas, that was not the case. Hacker is an Old English name for one who cut or hewed wood. Hacker doesn't appear among the traditional surnames of Scotland, Wales, or Ireland. So I think we're safe in calling Hacker an Old English surname for one who cuts wood. Number 6, Huggins. This name is thought to be a French, or I should say Norman French derivation as an alternate form of Hugh. It's not found among the traditional surnames of Ireland or Wales, but it's found in England and is particularly common in Scotland, where it's been in the records since the 1500s. Interestingly, it's found in the 16th century records from the Isle of Bute in the southwest to Aberdeen in the northeastern part of the country. A paper trail can be helpful in determining from whence your line originated. Number 7, Hansen. The roots of this surname, Han and Son, sound like they could have come out of a Hans Christian Andersen or Hans Christian Andersen story. Interestingly, Hansen is an Anglo-Norse surname that's plentiful in Lancashire and Yorkshire and England. You might be interested to know that the Angles were from Jutland, which is nowadays known as Denmark and the northern German panhandle. This means that the Angles and the Vikings were distant cousins from the same land originally. So I wasn't too surprised that the surname is found in both Scandinavia and northern England. Incidentally, England was first called the land of the Angles or Angland, and over time the A was changed to an E and England was born. Number 8, Huckabee. Huckabee, or Huckabee. When I received this request, my mind went straight to Arkansas. That's because of Governor Mike Huckabee and his daughter Sarah. Folks, when you see a BY or BEE suffix on a surname, you should know that it has Old Norse roots. The BY means farm. One reliable source suggests that it was the toponymic derived from Huckabee, a place in Devonshire, England. Interestingly, or fascinating, as Mr. Spock would say, that part of England lies on the southwestern coast, which was culturally much more Celtic than it was Viking. Nevertheless, it was given to a person who had the Old Norse personal name and a farm, just like Old MacDonald. Ultimately, I can tell you that Huckabee is an English surname with Old Norse roots, but it's not found among the traditional surnames of Scotland, Ireland, or Wales. There's no need for a paper trail on Huckabee if all you want to know is in what country your line originated. Well, friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope you got something meaningful out of our discussion. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. I invite you to check out all the videos on the Vantage Point. In addition to the Surnames of Appalachia and the South series, they cover a wide range of topics, including a recent upload on the Crusades. Be forewarned though, the material in that video is drawn from my book Puritan Islam, so it provides a sober look at the pathological way in which some Americans express guilt over the Crusades. Oh yeah, please let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see a video on JFK's PT 109 experience. If the man warrants it, I'll be back soon with another episode on the surnames of Appalachia and the American South. I hope to see you then. God bless you and yours. Bye-bye.